Hello, everybody.
All right, on the Samsung, will you please take yourself off mute? Tell us your name, please. Calling into court on the Samsung device, please take yourself off mute. There you go. What's your name?
Catherine Birch.
All right, you are in the right place. Go ahead and get started. This is a citation that was issued on August 28th of this year on 30th there in Monterey Township. This is a speeding citation on an actual 67 and a 55. However, the ticket was only written as a 1 to 5 over speeder. So, Ms. Birch, you are here on this 1 to 5 over speeder to do one of three things. First is you could admit responsibility to the citation, or two, admit responsibility, but you'd like to provide some sort of explanation to court as to how or why this happened. Or three, you wish to contest this citation. In other words, fight the ticket at what we call informal hearing. What were you looking to do?
Contest it.
All right. Then the first thing I'm going to do is swear you both in. You want to go ahead and raise your right hands. You swear or affirm any testimony you give here today would be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Ma'am, it makes a lot more sense for me to start with the deputy. He has the burden to establish to me why you were issued a citation in the first place. But after that, you'll have an opportunity to either ask questions or testify in your own behalf. All right?
Okay.
And with that, deputy, you want to pick up the narrative somewhere where it makes sense, explain the issuing of this citation.
Yep. On 8/28 of 2024, approximately 1939 hours, I was traveling northbound on 30th Street near 130th Avenue when I observed a white vehicle coming southbound on 30th Street. I did notice a car in front of her, and the driver of the car I pulled over is in the courtroom today. I activated my front rear radar for the car in front of her, and I got a 60-mile-an-hour reading. And then she passed me, and then I activated my radar for this vehicle I pulled over to that Catherine was driving. I came back to a speed of 66 mile an hour and then up to 67 mile an hour. The vehicle, Catherine then did pass me, and I activated my rear radar. I came back to a 67 mile an hour reading. I then pulled the vehicle over and made contact with Catherine, who was the driver of this white passenger car, and she told me that the vehicle in front of her was going a lot faster than her. I advised her I activated my radar, and it came back to a 60 mile an hour reading for the car in front of her. When I did activate my radar for her, I came back to a 66, 67 mile an hour reading. I then used my discretion, and I only gave her a 1 to 5 over speeding ticket.
Okay. Ms. Birch, what is it you'd like to tell me?
I was coming from Hopkins, so I turned on 128th to go south, so I wasn't at 138th on this day. He pulled me over at 125th and 30th at the South Monterey store there. I actually pulled off to the side into the parking lot because he had whipped around when I was coming down Poplar Hill, and I thought he was going after the car in front of me, who was speeding and had just passed me on the hill on Poplar.
Hey, ma'am, that's not the testimony. The other street that he's mentioning is just to give a sense of where on 30th he is when he's talking about. What he's telling you is you're traveling southbound on 30th when he hit you with the radar.
I was coming southbound on 30th and 125th, which is 2.5 miles south of where this ticket says that it is.
Okay, but ma'am, you just heard his testimony. That's what I'm going by.
Yeah, his testimony said that it was 130th as well, but I had just dropped my daughter off in Hopkins, and that's 128th. So that's a whole mile south. When I turned to go south on 30th, I wasn't even in this intersection, 30th and 130th.
Okay. And man, I'll go back with the deputy, but even you understand the deputy's going the opposite direction. So if he decides he wants to pull you over, he has to slow down, stop, pull a U-turn, then proceed southbound and then catch up to you. You realize that would take a while, right?
No, I understand that, but I watched him flip around at 125th. We were never at 130th together. I was never at 130th. So he wasn't at 130th, or at least I wouldn't assume so. I thought he had gotten the car in front of me because I was coming down Poplar Hill. I didn't,
Okay.
I pulled over.
Do you have any testimony as to what your speed was?
At the very most, it was 58 or 60. At the very most, I was coming out of Poplar Hill corners there. I drive that road every day.
You realize you have a ticket for going 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. Your ticket is only for 1 to 5 over, right?
Okay.
Which is what you just told me you were doing.
At the very most, I was coming down the hill from Poplar. But what I don't understand is he flipped around, saw me, spun around, and I got out of the way because there was emergency flashers, and the car in front of me pulled over thinking that he was going to get the ticket, and he pulled in behind me. And I don't think that it was accurate.
All right. So what I'm going to do is go back with the deputy, and we're going to talk about where it happened and why he thinks it's you that he wanted to give the ticket and not the other car that pulled over. All right. Deputy, you want to clarify for her, but she has concerns about, where it happened and why you're giving her a ticket instead of the other car.
Yep. 130th. By the time I turned around, I didn't see where she came out of. So she might have come out of 128th. The fact that I was going northbound on 30th, I did pull her over in the Dumont store there, and I did activate my radar up on the hill. I'm not sure what the name of the hill is that she used, but I did activate my radar there, and then that's when they came back to 67 mile an hour. And that's when I flipped around on her and pulled her over and gave her that speeding citation.
And then my question to you, just to clarify, is so your front-facing radar, you said you hit her with, but with that one, you also hit another car, a car that was in front of her?
It might have picked up the car in front of her as well. That's why I activated my rear radar when I got past her and I picked up her vehicle.
And that's what I want to clarify for her. But at the time that you're using rear-facing radar, she would have been the closest car to you.
Correct.
And that one you had a reading for 67 as well.
Yes, sir.
All right, ma'am. Does that clear anything up for you? In other words, when that car's in front of you, right, his front-facing radar will hit the nearest car. And he said it did hit that car, but he didn't have a speeding violation on that car. And then the front-facing radar hit your car, he had a speeding violation at 67. But after you passed him up, he also turned on rear-facing radar where you would have been lead car, not the other vehicle, and also got a 67. So he made the determination that pulled you over by turning around, catching up to you. So it may have taken a while to catch you up, but he is firm in his testimony that it is you and not the other car that he's seeking to pull over.
He turned around. I saw him coming northbound at 125th. He turned around immediately, like in the first driveway at 125th. So, and by then the car in front of me had almost slammed his brakes on because I slowed down because he had his brakes on. So I don't believe he was at 100 and if he didn't catch me or if he says it's 130th, I turned southbound at 128th. So he was already a mile farther northbound. So I'm confused because it doesn't make sense to me what this ticket's saying versus what happened.
Okay, but ma'am, you and him are giving me two different versions of events, but I am not finding any problems with what he is explaining to me because it fits what he's saying. What you're saying doesn't fit what you're saying.
What do you mean?
Well, ma'am, he is not, you're saying this happened at a different place than he's saying, right? So
Yeah.
I don't really even need to get into that, because before we even need to get into that, when we're just talking about speeds, your testimony about speeds doesn't fit the evidence that he has presented. That the car in front of you, he did not have is going faster than you. And they had you at 67 miles an hour based off his front facing and rear facing radar. And that even by your own testimony, you were in fact speeding at least as fast as this citation. I have to decide, here's what I have to decide, ma'am. Were you traveling 1 to 5 miles over the speed limit? That's all I have to decide on this ticket, because that's the only ticket you're faced with. And the evidence before me is, his evidence is you're traveling even faster than that. And your evidence is you were traveling that fast. So as of right now, I have no evidence in front of me where I could possibly decide that you were not in violation of the ticket you were written. Right?
I was not speeding at the intersection in which this ticket was written.
And ma'am, that is not that. In other words, that's for him to essentially, you're speeding on 30th is the only thing that's important. What that cross street is just a reference for the officer by the time he testified. In no way, shape, or form did he testify you were ever on 130th. His testimony is you're traveling southbound on 30th, he's traveling northbound on 30th when he saw you and hit you with radar. You both are in agreement with that. So I would find you responsible on this citation as it's written. Now, ma'am, because you had a contested hearing, I want to make sure you're clear on this. You do have the right to say, I don't agree with what just happened there. I want to contest this further to what we call formal hearing. That's in front of the district court judges with the prosecutor's office. But in order to do that and contest this further, you must do 2 things. First is you must ask for that within 7 days of today's date. Your ability to contest this further after 7 days stops. And second, you must come in and ask for that in person, because you would have to post a cash bond and the same amount as the fine to guarantee your appearance at formal hearing. Do you understand your rights on appeal?
Yes.
All right. So we're all set here. I'm going to go ahead and release parties. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Be safe, be well, sleep sweet, and much love.